In this video, we're going to talk about adding and subtracting rational expressions. Remember, rational expressions are just a ratio of expressions, a ratio of polynomials, basically algebra fractions. So let's back up to just how fractions work in general. So when you add or subtract fractions, let's just refresh on this. Here's a little example. If I want to do 2/7 plus 3/7, that just makes 5 of those sevenths. So this process is important. You add up the numerator, but that common denominator stays the same. So keep that idea in mind. Let's say if I had 2/7 plus x sevenths, I would still just add the numerator, 2 plus x, but the denominator stays the same, and they have to have a common denominator. So let's say I want to do 2/3 plus 1/4. To get a common denominator, I'm going to need to multiply one or probably both of them so that they have the same denominator. This one, the common denominator here is going to be 12. So really you take the 4 from over here and multiply it by 4s, and you take the 3 from over here and multiply these by 3s. The reason that doesn't change anything is because 4 over 4 is just a 1, and 3 over 3 is just a 1. So multiplying them by a 1 won't change the expression. So this becomes 8/12, and this becomes 3/12, which is really the same as 2/3 plus 1/4. But now I can add them because they have a common denominator. So add up 8 plus 3, which is 11, over that 12. All right, so keep that process in mind. When you add or subtract rational expressions, it works pretty much the same way. You have to have a common denominator, meaning they have to be the same on the bottom, and then you add or subtract across the top, but you leave the bottom as it is. And keep in mind, if it's subtraction, you might need to distribute the negative. So let's go through some examples. Let's do this. This one should be pretty straightforward because they have a common denominator. I know it looks confusing, but their denominators are the same. So all I have to do is add up the two top pieces, x minus 3 plus 3x plus 4, all over that common denominator. And we get x plus 3x is 4x, negative 3 plus 4 is 1, and that's it. Let's try another one. Let's say I've got n minus 3. Once again, they have a common denominator. It's exactly the same. So I'll leave that common denominator the same, and this time just subtract. So take n minus 3 minus this. Be careful though, that minus needs to go to both of those terms. So basically you need to distribute the negative to both of those. So this becomes n minus 3 minus n minus 1. And then n minus n just cancels out. Negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. You could actually simplify this a bit, because if I factored out a 6 on the bottom, I could simplify 4/6 to be 2/3, but that's pretty much all you can do to simplify that. All right, let's try one more, kind of like that. Okay, on this one, there's 3 of them, but they still all have a common denominator. So you still just add across the top. 4x squared plus 11x minus 5x, and I don't need to distribute because it was just one term there, all over 2x cubed. Now I can simplify 4x squared, combine these like terms, which is 6x. And I could simplify this one a little bit as well. I could factor out a 2x from the top, which would leave 2x plus 3. And now I can cancel out those 2's and one of the x's, so that would leave just x squared on the bottom and this on the top. So that's my final simplified answer. All right, let's see what happens if they do not have a common denominator. So for example, here we do not have a common denominator, so we're pretty much going to do what we did with the number fractions. Just take a 4 and multiply it over here, and take x plus 2 and multiply it over here. So like this one needs a 4, all right, let's give it a 4. Make sure everything's in parentheses so it stays separated. You can do it in the front or the back, it doesn't matter. This one needs an x plus 2, so let's give it an x plus 2. But if we do it on the bottom, we got to do it on the top as well. Now they have a common denominator, 4 times x plus 2. All right, so now I have 3x times this minus 4 times this. I'm kind of rearranging some things, but all right, and it's all over 4 times x plus 2. These don't cancel because of that minus. This is all kind of stuck together. If you want to simplify this, we could distribute it out. So we would get 3x squared plus 6x, and then minus 4x plus 16, which simplifies to 3x squared plus 2x plus 16 over 4 times x plus 2. You could maybe factor this, but I'm just going to leave it as it is. All right, let's try another one. Again, I need to take, this one needs an x minus 6, this one needs an x plus 3. You can't be adding or subtracting things, we're going to have to multiply, and so you're going to have to take the entire x plus 6, or x minus 6, and multiply it over here. And you're going to have to take the x plus 3 and multiply it over here. So now they have a common denominator, which is this. All right, so on top, we've got 5x minus 30 plus 2x squared plus 6x. And it's all over the whole x minus 6 and x plus 3. If I simplify this top part a little bit, combine those, I have 2x squared plus 11x minus 30 over this. Again, it's possible if I factored this, it might cancel with one of these, but I'm just going to leave it as it is. All right, last one. Anytime you notice that something factors, you probably want to do that. This is going to factor, it's the difference of 2 squares. I can replace this with x plus 3, x minus 3. Those are its factors. So notice, this is an x plus 3, it needs an x minus 3. This one has an x minus 3, but it needs an x plus 3. And this one already has both, so that one's good to go. Now we have a common denominator, which is x minus 3 and x plus 3. Now I just need to kind of add all the top stuff together. So I have x minus 3 times 1, which is just x minus 3, minus x to the 4th, and then plus 10x plus 30. Which, if I combine all these like terms, I get negative x to the 4th, plus 11x, plus 27. All right. So, again, expressions like this work just like regular fractions. Get a common denominator, add or subtract across the top, leave the bottom as it is, and just be careful with subtraction.